Okay, let's start the today's class. Okay, so am I audible, right? Is my voice is clear and all right?
Yes, sir.
Hello, am I audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you. Is my screen is visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, okay, fine. So today let's talk about like IEEE and the firewall and the NAT and the PAT. Okay. So first one is IEEE. Okay. I means identification. A is the authentication and authorization. Last one is accountability. Okay. So I will write it down. So this is a like security principle which we use for the users. So who are join as a like new employee in a company. So we follow this security principle. Okay. So mainly it is like uh, IAM admin person will use these things and he will give the credentials and whatever the requirement to a new employee. He provides all the details. Like IAM is like IAM means identity
Identity
access
access
management.
management.
Yeah, correct. So this admin person IAM and we use this model, okay, in every company. So whenever a new employee joins, so they provide the like system to every person, right? So one second. Yeah. So they provide the access to the employee, like laptop with the credentials and uh, accounts, and they provide the groups. They involve that person particular department. If suppose he is belongs to SOC, then every department has different group policies like restrictions and all. So in the company, so they can't. Some of the employee, like for example, HR department is there and SOC analyst is there. So HR department doesn't have access to other departments like technical team, so they can't log in like or access to the SOC department. So there are some few restrictions between the departments likewise. So they give the permissions whenever the employee joins, they give certain, okay, this guy is particular department, so these are the set of rules and authentications they provide. Okay. When it comes to authentication, okay, first start about identification. Identification is all about like who you are. And it means that, for example, in identification, it's all about the username, like username. It is for like mail ID. They provide the details. And for every employee, there will be like employee ID, right? Employee number or ID, etc. These are the identification of that particular person, right? And after providing these like username and the employer ID to identify that particular person, if I say for suppose if I say Kiran, whenever they see the Kiran, there are multiple names, duplicate names will be there in the company, right? So there will be a unique, like employee number is of course it will be a unique number. So when they say, for example, at some xyz.com, or they mention Kiran Sokat. So these are the identities. Okay. And second one is the authentication. So authentication is like all about, it proves like who you are. It means we got the username and all, and now after getting the username, so we need to log in. If we want to log in some particular website or anything, we require the authentication also. Authentications, something like there are multiple authentications are there, right? So in that something like first is like normal password or pin, and second we use like smart card. Some of the companies, there will be security checks, so they have the ID card in that they scan, and whenever they scan that, so it provides like for that security check, okay, authentication is done, okay, this person is legitimate. Then if the person is legitimate, allow the person, like that. After authentication, he can go through, right? And also in authentication we get biometrics, right? In biometrics we have a fingerprint or facial recognitions. These things we can also observe in our phones. For authentication, to unlock the phone, we use fingerprint or facial recognition, right? In this authentication process. So, so in authentication, there are multiple, like there will be a single authentication and two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. So everyone knows like single authentication is all about like password. Once it's a one single authentication. So after after entering the password, if you provide additional security, like for two-factor authentication, like OTP, like that, this is normal password, right? So when it comes to multi-factor authentication, it's all about two or more authentications, two or more, two or three, like that. So first we use the password, then we get for second authentication as like OTP, right? After OTP, let's suppose here OTP is there. Then which type of authentication we can use for like extra security purpose? So we can use applications are there. Like for example, Google Authenticator is there. Google Authenticator is there, and Dio Security is there. These are the like multiple authentication. It gives stages. If someone knows the password, he can't crack it because there is another level of authentication is there, which is OTP. So if the person doesn't have the OTP, so he can't log into that particular account, right? So like that.
Yeah, please. What does
Authentication.
the OTP stand for?
Yeah. Sorry.
OTP. What does it stand for?
OTP stands for one-time password. We get for you have Google accounts or something, right? So when you enable the two-factor authentication, you can provide your phone number or another Gmail address. So when you provide the phone number, you get the message saying some like 6 code digit.
Digit, yeah.
You got it right?
Yeah.
So you get OTP, you get in phone number or mail address, whichever you want. If you provide the mail address, the OTP will come to the mail address only. If you provide phone number, it comes to phone number. Like that, OTP works. Okay. When it comes to third, multi-factor authentication, you can use the apps, applications you can use for extra security purpose. Let's suppose the user, let's suppose an employee. Let's suppose a SOC employee. Okay. He has a username. Let's suppose at xyz.com. Okay. So and the password. Okay. He knows user and the password. Identification is done, right? Identification is done. Then authentication also done. So now the third one is authorization. So authorization is, so when suppose in SOC we regularly use, as a SOC analyst, we regularly use the SIM tools, right? SIEM tools, like whatever it, Rapid7, ArcSight, Splunk, IBM. So tools, yeah, IBM QRadar, Rapid7. Okay, so L1 analyst will get the username and the password. Okay, now I entered. Okay, so I entered the username and password. But when it comes to authorization is all about the permissions or given access. So for L1 analyst, so in SOC there are levels, right? L1, L2, L3. For L1 analyst, they prepare like policies, like group policies. In the SOC department, there will be policies saying that for L1, give only read access to L1. So he can't do any changes in the settings, right? So because this is a basic, because for them security purpose also, L1 analyst doesn't get any admin rights. Okay, when it comes to L2, he gives some few partial right access. Are you guys able to understand what is read access and the write access? Read is only you can't change any settings. So when it comes to write access, you can edit the settings, you can change any if you want like that. So when it comes
Right.
to L3 person, admin, so he can do both read or write. So when I enter the username and the password, after entering the username and the password in the backend, what happened? It checked for the on which group policy the user will come,
Mm.
L1 or L2 or L3. If my credentials are belongs to this policy, L1 policies, let's suppose put it as policies. If my credentials apply to L1, then I can only read in the sense only I can monitor. I can't do any changes. I can monitor the alerts, logs, and all. Any tickets are there. I can only see those things. I can't change the settings and all. If my credentials belongs to L2, I get the some of what we say access. I can edit. I can delete like that. When it comes to admin, right? So he can do anything. So admin person will decide whether to give the access or not to L1, L2. He will write the
Sir,
rules. Yeah, tell me.
someone is waiting for approval, sir,
Sorry.
to join the class.
So, authorization is clear, right? Everyone understand these about the authorization. It's like a process of like specifying any like user access privileges. User access privileges we give. That's it. Okay. Next, last one is accountability. So when it comes to accountability, so after the steps like identification is done, authentication also done, then he gets the access to that and set of rules if he has a permission or not. After authorization also, next, what is accountability means? It ensures whether the user performed the actions, right? Whether it is legitimate or not, whether he has the access. uh, is my voice clear? Am I low?
No, I can hear you.
Yeah, is it fine, right? Voice is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So now let's suppose L1 guy or L2. Let's suppose L2. I use the L2 credentials and entered. I logged into the SIM tool. Okay. Now what I did, I want to search for another user and I edited the password. I resetted the password. Okay. Let's suppose we'll take the example of resetting the password. resetting the password, or deleting the files, or deleting the, let's suppose here we'll take deleting the user account. So we get log as someone deleted an account. Okay. So we get the log as someone deleted the account. So right now we need to check whether the person, whoever, we don't know right now, we don't know who the person is. Then after analyzing or investigating, then we will get to know the, first we'll get to know the like username, and which device, on which device the user, on which device the user logged in and did the activity. Activity means deleting the user account. So let's suppose I logged in with the L2, and I deleted L1 account. Okay. Now uh, in our investigation, we'll get to know that L2 person have the rights to delete the account. So if L2 person have the rights to do that activity. Okay. If he has the permission, then we can say that, okay, this person have the permission, so he can delete or he can reset the password of the other accounts. Then it's legitimate. So it's all about, we are proving whether the person is genuine or not to do that particular activity. It is called as like accountability. Okay. Any doubt so far in
Yeah,
this topic?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know that from the example you gave, like the L1 have only right, the L2 have partial right, and the partial right, maybe the policy is said that he cannot delete. So if this policy is set that he cannot delete, then there is no way that L2 can delete that account, because the policy is set and the policy configuration settings, everything is set that, hey, the L2 only can maybe update but not delete. So how do you explain that
Yeah.
accountability with L2?
When it comes to authorization, I given this example. Okay. So here is a somewhat different scenario I explained. Okay. So L2, don't compare this with here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is different. Let's suppose L2 have the permission, maybe policies. He can, in the previous I mentioned L2 for partial only, right?
Mhm.
Partial right. Okay. In that authorization, I explained as L2 has a partial right. Here, let's suppose we can add uh, full right access. Okay, he
Okay.
can change the settings and all. He can handle the users. So it's all depending on the admin. Okay,
Okay.
if admin gives the permission to do that, he will do. Okay.
Yeah, it's clear now.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So now, No one is there in the waiting room. Is there anyone? Prashant?
think name Keshav has put something in the group, sir.
Acha, now I'm not able to see anyone is waiting here.
I found it in the group.
Yeah, now Keshav. Let's go for the second topic today. Firewall. Anyone know about the what is firewall? Like basic.
It's monitor and control incoming and outgoing traffic.
Yeah. So it is a security tool. Let's suppose a firewall. It's a security tool. Security network tool. Okay. So this is it monitor. Firewall will monitor all the incoming traffic, So incoming, outgoing. Okay. Let's suppose here, this is the internet. It means like outside world from the organization. Okay. And this is our organization and employees. Okay. Devices. XYZ, let's suppose company. Okay. So it is so this is this organization here behind the firewall. We call it as secure zone. Okay. This is insecure. Most of the organizations, everyone, we use the IP address, private IP address here. In the organizations, they use everyone, like every device, they will get the private IP address, right? So private IP ranges, right? Like subnet range, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. 172.62, 172.31,
31,
and 192.168,
192.168.
like that. Okay. So in the organizations, we use only private IPs. Okay, any subnet range we take and we use. Okay, let's suppose we right now we are using 192.168 range. Okay, in the private network. So this is secure zone because employees knows that what to browse and all those things, and we write the policies. The firewall works on the policies. Okay, policies and the filtering. Okay, policies are there, policies, and there are some filterings, and there will we can some of the now the firewalls all are next gen firewalls. Okay, it includes the signatures. We name it as like signatures. So in the market there are so many products out there. Let's suppose Cisco is there, Cisco, Meraki, FortiGate is there. FortiGate is Fortinet, okay, and Palo Alto is there. Sophos is there. There are a number of companies and their product. Each product has their different features and all. Okay, so in firewalls, basically there are like two types: software, hardware. Everyone in your PCs, like a personal laptops, we use the software one, like antivirus and all. It inbuilt firewall, right? We use on single device. Softwares we use on single device. Software for our personal use and all. When it comes to hardware, we use in the organizations. So hardware is costly and complex. In when it comes to settings and all, it's very complex. When it comes to software, it's easy to install, right, on our laptops and all. Okay, so in these two types, in firewall also, there are multiple, like old firewalls to now next gen firewalls. They updated each and every time. So first firewall is like we call it as packet filtering. Packet filtering firewalls. And we have stateful inception firewalls. And now the trending firewall is like next generation. So the first one, packet filtering. So as you know, all the information, whatever we do on the internet, it all goes through packets, right? So it's all about small packets. The data. Let's suppose the data is there, test 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is one. Okay, now on the internet, it divide into packets. Single. Okay. So you know, right? What we say, 1 byte, 8 bits. These are the decimals. Like we use the information. The data transmission is all about on it. It will do on like whether it is like 0 or 1. The data will transfer. Okay. So now the traffic. The traffic is whether it is incoming or outgoing. Okay, when it comes to outgoing from the organization, from the employee to the outside, like outside, this is the outgoing, we have the control with the employees. We can aware the employee saying that you can't go to like any suspicious websites or unauthorized websites. Only use the legitimate, and we use all HTTPS protocols in the websites and all. HTTP is unsecure somewhat. Mostly we use HTTPS, okay, for websites to access the websites. Now, when it comes to packets, it is a oldest firewall, okay. So packet filtering works at the network layer. In the OSI layer, the packet filtering works at the network layer. It check for data packet, okay. So data packets from where? From source IP, destination IP, like that. Firewall is there. From internet, the packet is coming, okay. Let's suppose the packet in the sense data, okay, data information. Don't be confused, okay. So data information, packet is coming. So here, every firewall works on the rules, policies, and all here in the packet, there is no signatures and all, only rules, okay. So whenever the packet comes, it will verify only the packet. Each packet, if the packet is a single term, right? Here I mentioned this is the information, it divided into packets. So each packet, the firewall will analyze. If the firewall found it is any malicious or suspicious, it will drop. So let's suppose we send the packets, 3 packets we send, but at the end user, only 2 packets will come. So 1 packet, the firewall thinks this one of the packet is not legitimate, so that the firewall will deny that information. So the packet will not come toward the end user, so you can't access like that. So when it comes to firewall, basically the firewall only do 3 things. One is allow, block, and deny. These 3 terms are very important, okay. So when the from the internet traffic is coming, okay, if the firewall thinks this is the legitimate traffic, so what firewall do? It allows. It allows the traffic. It allows the traffic. When the firewall thinks the packet is suspicious, or let's suppose we take attacker, okay. Let's suppose attacker is there. Attacker is trying to hit the user, okay. He will send some packets, like packets in it means whether it should pass through TCP or UDP, okay. TCP protocol or UDP protocol, okay. So when the attacker is trying to bypass the firewall to get access of the user, so first he will send some packets, data, like communication. Here the packet is like communication. So he will try to communicate with the user. So he will send the communication. So the firewall observes the traffic. Okay, it is somewhat suspicious, or the traffic doesn't match. The traffic doesn't match the rules or policy. What the firewall will do? It will block. It may block or deny, depending on the rules. It will depending on the rules, it may block it or deny it. Here, block is if one of the packet is blocked, okay. the attacker will get the response. In TCP handshake, three-way handshake. Anyone knows that three-way handshake is?
Yes.
Okay. So like that. So you will send the packet, and from the end, from A to B, B will send the response, right? Acknowledgement or single like that. Attacker will send the communication. Firewall, what it do? If the firewall blocks it, the attacker will get the response from the firewall. Okay, that is block. Allow means the traffic will pass us through the end user. Okay, when it comes to deny, the firewall will drop the packets. So dropping the packets means the attacker, he doesn't get any response from the firewall. He can't decide whether the packet is allowed or denied. He can't get any information like feedback. Attacker doesn't get he doesn't get any feedback from the firewall if the firewall denies it. Okay, understood? Like what difference between the block and the deny? Block means firewall gives a feedback saying that I blocked the communication. So attacker will get to know that okay, firewall is blocking my communication. So he will get that information and he will try different methods like that. So when it comes to deny, no, no response or no feedback from the firewall to the attacker. So he can't decide whether the packet is allowed or denied like that. There are set of rules, policies are there. Okay. This is a packet filtering. Packet filtering is the basic one, and the old firewall, it only checks for the packets like single packet. Okay. It's 1001 like that. Only single packet it will cross check, and it will, if it is legitimate, it will pass us through, or else it will block, or else it will deny. Okay, this is one type of firewall. When it comes to second one,
I have a question.
okay, yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so what are the rules that is set to let the firewall knows that he should block or deny? What are the rules that is, what is it in there that makes the firewall knows that okay, this IP address I have to block it? Because what is it that makes the firewall knows to block or deny?
Yeah, I will explain by the end. Okay, after this stateful and next gen, I will talk about the policies, how the policies are make on the like firewall, so that you will
Okay,
get clear picture. Okay.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. So when it comes to stateful firewall, it is a combination of the circuit. It is a combination of the packet filtering firewall, and here extra feature is there. So in previous firewall type, it only checks for packet, right? Here, what stateful firewall do is it will check for the source IP. SRC is source, okay. DST is destination IP, source IP, destination IP, and port numbers, of source and destination. Okay. And also, when it comes to port numbers and all, there are multiple port numbers, right? It will check for these things: IP address, port numbers, and packets. Packet inspection. So the stateful firewall checks for that legitimate connections, whether the connection from the source IP, firewall, internet, and user is there, our end, like end user. Okay. So firewall, if the traffic is passing through, so the firewall will check for the legitimate connection. So whether the IP address, this is the source IP, this is the destination IP. Okay, when the traffic is incoming, it will be the source IP, it will be the destination IP. When it comes to outgoing, this will be the source IP, and here it is destination IP. Okay. Any confusions here? So these are the extra features compared to packet filtering and the stateful. Stateful, it cross-check source IP, destination IP, and the port numbers of source, destination, and the location also. And next, packet inception. Each packet, previous firewalls only doing the packet inspection, only packet filtering. It only checks for the packet is legitimate or not. Here, when it comes to stateful, it checks all the features here. Okay. So when it comes to stateful, firewall. So here rules are there. Okay. Let's suppose there are 3 rules. Okay. Let's suppose there are 5 rules. Okay. So in the first rule, what I will say, allow the traffic. So here the traffic is coming, okay, from the outside. So here we have the end user. So traffic will pass through the firewall. So let's suppose the attacker trying to get the access of this end user using the telnet port. Telnet, where we get the access through the telnet. 23 is the telnet. Okay, telnet port number. So he's trying to get the access of this particular user using the telnet port numbers. Okay, so when the attacker is trying, it will come here first. The communication, it will cross check with the first rule. Is it matching? It will allow. Okay, 80443, the traffic will go through TCP UDP, and it will, okay, it will allow. The first rule is it will allow. When it comes, it cross check all the three rules, whatever 3 or 4, or if it is 100 of rules, the firewall will check the communication. Attacker is communicating, it will cross check with all the rules written. So first it will cross check with the first rule. Okay, this is allowed. Okay, then go for the second. When it comes to second, he is trying for 23 port number. So here what we did in the firewall, we written the rule as block the access to the 23 port whenever the firewall rule hit or triggered. So the communication will be block here, block or deny the packets, whatever the packets or communication is happening, the firewall, basing on the rule here, the firewall will block the communication. As I mentioned before, block, deny, right? So based upon the rule, it will deny it or block it. So let's suppose this second rule is in third. Okay, it will, this one 25 port number, it is, if it is in second position, it will cross check. Okay, 25 SMTP, it's for the mail service. In the organization we allow this port number 25 for the communication purpose, mail purpose. So it, once the rule is okay, it will allow. So this, let's suppose make it as 2 and make it as 3. So the traffic will come, it will cross check the first rule. Okay, allow, got it. Cross check the second one, allow the access to 25 port number, because the mail communication should happen. If he is sending the mail, it will reach, or else no. So second is allowed. When it comes to third, okay, he is trying for 23 port number, as per the rule, block it, like that. So like that, we write the rules with so many probabilities, combinations. It's all about the, depending on the organizations, we can modify the rules, and we can say that give this 23 port number less priority. We can put this in last also, or in the middle, or in the first, depending on the organization security models and their businesses. We do the rules and regulation. In every firewall there will be inbuilt rules, inbuilt standard rules. There are so many standard inbuilt rules will be present on the firewall. Apart from that, we do modify, or we do create the rules. Okay, so this is a stateful firewall. Is, it will check for the rules, each rule. If it is matches, it will allow. If it denies, the packet will drop. Okay, drop or block, like that happen. Any doubts here, or I will continue with the next gen firewall. So next gen firewall is all about the combination of, first one is packet filtering, combination of, it's like packet filtering, stateful, like that. There are multiple firewall types also. So these are the main: packet filtering and the stateful. And next, now the trending is next gen firewall. There are application level gateways also is there that comes into proxy. So proxy is integrated with the like inbuilt function of the firewall. So I will talk about in the next topic when I will discuss the proxy topic. I will explain that. Okay. Now, when it comes to next gen firewall, it is combination packet filtering and stateful. Everyone knows that packet filtering, it only filters the packet. Then when it comes to stateful, it will cross check the IP address, source, destination, and the port numbers and all, right? So let's suppose packet is done, then source, destination, IPs happen, then port numbers also are done. Next, now the next generation firewalls have the proxy is there, VPN like inbuilt, and web filtering is there, antivirus. Like there are so many combinations. It gives a deep packet inspection also. There are so many features are added in the next gen firewall. Okay. So based on these rules and policies, it cross check each and every step, and it will decide whether the traffic should be allowed or not. Based on that, the communication will happen, or else no. Without the rules on the firewalls, the firewall is no use actually. If there is no rules at all, and if we install the firewall, internet is there, and organization is there. Okay. No, if there is no rules, policies, or anything, then there is not possible to block any communication, right? It is always allow. It is always allow condition. So it is very dangerous. If there is no rules and all, then there is no use of firewall there. So the firewall should have some of rules and regulations to protect the organizations. Okay. Every organization have their different models. Okay, depending on their requirement, the firewall rules will take place. And now the next generation firewall has the threat intelligence also, which means every day it will collect the IP address, suspicious IP address. Let's suppose today we on the internet, let's suppose we call it as like a FortiGate firewall. This FortiGate firewall observes that today I got 10 IPs malicious. So they update in their database. Once the database is updated, whenever the traffic passes from the internet to firewall, it will cross check with the database also. Whether the IP, let's suppose IP address is 12.12.12. Let's suppose this is public IP. Okay. Think about this is public IP. Okay. If the this public IP is suspicious, and in the database, this IP is not present here in the database. Let's suppose example, this public IP is not present on the database, then the traffic will pass us because of there is no rule Like there is no, because firewall thinks it is legitimate, because in the database the IP address is not present. So that okay, it is legitimate, go for the other check rules. If the other rules are success, the traffic will go. And let's suppose this IP is present here in the database, saying that this is a malicious database. Okay, malicious database. So the IP address is present in the database. Okay, so the traffic will come and it will cross check. Okay, IP address is malicious, then the communication will block or deny. It will happen like this in the firewalls. So are you able to understand the topics on firewall? Any doubts so far?
It's clear.
Yeah, okay. Others?
Will you be learning about, how to configure firewalls?
Configurations. So there will be a like firewall team. We can also do everyone, like SOC analysts also, everyone we can learn the things. So, but policies are very important. Like policies are about the thinking possibilities. What will happen? What will happen like this, like this? The combinations. We need to discuss and we write the rules. That's it. So for that, we need to observe the organization, company. We need to understand their uh, websites and all. If the company is running only on the website, so website is all about the protect, like it port number is HTTP, right? 80 or 443 the website works on. So in that scenario, they don't require the other port numbers, which is not required. Like there are 65K port numbers, right? The requirement is only few ports, so remaining ports we will block it. So we don't allow the communication on the remaining ports. Whatever the required ports is there, we allow those, like that. Rules will write. And in the firewall, internal department also. Let's suppose SOC is there, HR is there. So there will be a server. Okay. Let's suppose server is there. Server is for R&D purpose, research and development. Whatever you want, you can do on this. So it will go through like this traffic. So in the firewall, let's suppose we given the rule for the SOC team, we given IP ranges 192, 168. Let's suppose 1.2. Okay, SOC, this person for HR, we given 10.10.10.2. Okay, here what we do in the firewall rules, we mention allow one. Let's suppose the server IP is 172.16.1.3. Let's suppose. Okay, I will write the rule below. Okay, so here first rule is allow the connection. It's we don't write any wordings there. We mention the IP address. Okay, IP address, source and destination IP address. Allow the connection. Let's suppose allow the connection from, let's suppose, the source IP. Source, destination, and the status. Here we write it as like 192, 168, 1.2, Destination is 172.16.1.3, 10.10.10.2, and 172.116.1.3. This is the server, right? Server. And this is SOC person, and this is HR person. What we write the rule as, we only give the permission. We only give the permission to the SOC person. So what I do in the status, I write it as like allow. When it comes to HR department, they don't require the server. Let's suppose it's just an example. Okay, server in the sense, let's suppose we are working on the SIM tool. So SIM tool only used by the SOC, right? I will write the rule as only give the access to this particular IP range to destination IP range. Status is allow. When it comes to HR department or sales department or different departments, okay, I will say deny. Like that, we write the rules internally also, internal purpose also. And when it comes to source, I written only IP address and the source IP address. Whenever we are writing the rules, we need to select the protocols also. Like standard protocols are there. Standard protocols port numbers is 1024. Port numbers are there. So standard ports we allow. If you want, we can block it. So most of the time we can access through telnet. For the server, we use the 23. We give the IP address and the port number. We get the access from the system. Server is there. Server. SOC person. Okay. The communication happen on port. Telnet. We enter the IP address on our system. Let 172.168.1.3. So on our laptop, we enter 172.116.1.3 23. So if you enter these things, we get the app, okay, to how to access the server through command prompt or on website, like on the browser, actually browser and all. So when we enter the IP address with port number, here the server is configured with, let's suppose it is configured with 23. So when you enter only IP address, the communication won't happen because specifically we mentioned 23 there, port number. Without 23 port, it won't work. So if we want to take access of this server, so we need to mention the port number also with the IP. So like that, there will be rules. Okay, I will in the next class, I will provide the set of rules, like example of on 2030 rules I will provide. Okay, you will get to know. Okay, everyone, any doubts
Tomorrow
so
we
far?
have class, right?
Hello.
Tomorrow we have class.
Yeah. Any I will talk with sir. No problem. Sheikh sir.
It should be because it's the weekdays.
Okay. Okay, fine. We'll continue. Okay. For today, these are the topics. I left with one topic here, NAT and PAT. I will continue this topic in the next
Okay.
class. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bye.
So yeah, I will provide the notes also. No problem in that. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay.